Yeah, I guess we should go with the angle with that, with the Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns deal. We got two different topics today. I don't know which one we really want to start.
It's Mark and the Fan podcast.
If he returns, Randy Orton.
Hosted by the militant Mark Magnum and the Cisco Kid.
Triple H is still the main man creative.
For now. That's how the actual match is progressed.
That sounds good.
All right. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Mark and the Fan Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Magnum.
Hello, everyone. This is the Cisco Kid, the Fan, Chris Cloyd.
And we're going to talk about this this Royal Rumble that just went by of 2023. We're going to get people's opinions, and we want people to comment in the comments on what they thought of the Royal Rumble. Before we get started, we'd like to ask you guys to subscribe, like, and also share this video, trying to drive the numbers up and get us going here. But anyway, I think we should talk about possibly maybe one of the biggest storylines. I don't want to say in the history of wrestling, but definitely probably one of the biggest storylines in the history of WWE. And I think that's going to be the Sami Zayn's, Roman Reigns, the Kevin Owens match, and, you know, Sami Zayn no longer being a part of the bloodline. Huge storyline went down last night. Huge angle went down last night. And I'm going to go to you first, Chris, and let you give me your thoughts, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's right. I went into the match really digging what the bloodline was up to, and Roman, he was starting to grow on me again. And after the ending of that one, Roman, as Shivani said about Hogan when he joined NWO, you can go straight to hell, brother.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, I think. I mean, the match itself was good, and we'll get into that later on. But right now I want to talk about specifically the Sami Zayn bloodline storyline. I mean, I watched it, and I've watched it 3 times. Just the ending last 15 minutes, just because it was that captivating to me. And I saw it, and I watched it back each time looking at different people. Like the first time it was all about Sami and Roman. The second time I was watching more of Paul and Jimmy and Jay, and that last time, even though they didn't have the camera on him that much, I was watching Solo, and I was just the overall, the crowd reaction, everything went over well, and it played out. And I know a lot of people hate how WWE stretches out or, milks a situation. They milked this perfectly. It wasn't too long, wasn't too short. They got everything in there. They kind of teased, early on when Roman was about to hit Kevin Owens with the chair. They kind of teased it when Roman handed off the chair to Sami, that Sami might hit Roman, to where they staged it in a way to where it looked as if he might, to where you could hear the fans instantly kind of come up like, oh, he's gonna, and then he didn't. And then they kind of got in each other's face and had the face off. And, you could tell Sami was conflicted. You could tell he was trying to still be loyal to the bloodline and what they created as a group, and, all the hard work that he himself had put in. But then again, at the same time, you're looking at your friend handcuffed to the ropes, and the Usos are already done beat him down, hit him with a 1D, hit about 13 super kicks on him. I mean, to where while you're looking at one side of it for Sami Zayn and he wants to be loyal to the bloodline, you look and see his best friend decimated by the same group that he loves so much. I thought it was an interesting dynamic.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was very captivating. They did the right, everybody did. They did the right thing, and Sami had no other choice but to help his friend get out of that debacle.
I mean, at the end of the day, he has to live with that. And yes, you want to be a part of the bloodline, but you got more history with with Kevin Owens than you do with the bloodline. Granted, you finally got, Jey Uso on the same page, and I thought that was, out of all of what happened last night, and I don't want to minimize anything in this, but for me, the biggest thing to take out of this was Jey just walking off. And it's not even that he walked off, because if you look at it, the way typically these things go, when a babyface is in the ring getting beat down, and the other person that could save him walks off, usually that person gets booed. in the history of anything. When Hulk Hogan left, when Sid left Hulk Hogan on that one main event episode and slapped him in the face and jumped off the apron, he got booed. I thought it was so interesting that even though Jimmy and Jay were beating down Kevin Owens, when the beatdown happened on Sami Zayn and Jay walked, instead of him getting booed like really he should have, because you're walking out knowing what's about to happen to Sami, and the fans cheered him. I think that's a very good thing in the aspect of the way they told the story from my side of it. They told the story well enough that even though typically the way WWE has told stories, they've told them in a way to where, hey, if this guy walks away from the good guy, the baby face, that you're supposed to boo this guy. And instead, just with the emotion and how well and how long this story has been told, and just, a couple months ago, Jay wasn't on the same page with Sami. And then after the War Games match, they are, and Jay is now his biggest supporter. I mean, he saved him on Monday from Solo spiking him with the tribal court and all that. So it's interesting that Jay's the one that saved him. It's also interesting that Jimmy, the one that's been on Sami's side the longest, was the one that super kicked him. But that's also because, Jay was offended by the chair shot to Roman, to where he's like, I thought you were my brother. And I think that did something to Jimmy, like, wait a minute, I'm your brother. And your other brother's in the ring on the other side over there, Solo. And our cousin's right here. Somehow this guy's family. And it's, I was thoroughly sports entertained last night. That's all I can say.
Absolutely. Yeah, what a heck of a finish there. I mean, a lot of fans, that was heat. That was heat for sure, wasn't it, Marcus?
Yeah, that was a heat magnet.
It was like, Hogan turning on WCW and joining the NWO, or Randy Orton making fun of Eddie Guerrero's death, but saying he's burning in hell. I mean, all I can think is just F you, Roman.
Yeah, the fans chanting that was definitely a sign, because for the longest, even though Roman does heelish stuff and he's manipulating people, he's still been looked upon as a babyface. I'm very intrigued on Monday or Friday, whenever Roman reappears, when he does this acknowledge me thing, how many people will not acknowledge him now because they just totally screwed over Sami? I mean, I get it from Roman's side, though, too, because that's how Seth left him. Hit him in the back, somebody he trusted. And now you've got Sami, somebody he trusted. I mean, there was multiple times, like I said, how they staged it to where Sami had plenty of chances to hit him in the back, and he didn't, to where that gave Roman that false sense of security. And then finally Sami pulled the trigger and hit him in the back, and it was so good last night.
Yes,
so good, so good. I mean, it's right up there with Macho Man and the Mega Power, like the Mega Powers exploding and coming together and then exploding. It was on that level for me, storytelling wise, because it's been a long time since something, especially this went that long, just like the tribal court thing, something that's went that long that I was invested in the entire time, all the way into the finish.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it any better, brother.
But I guess we'll go into the actual Royal Rumble pay-per-view, and we'll start with the actual men's Royal Rumble match. I thought this show was, the match itself, the Royal Rumble match, was better than it has been in a lot of years. I mean, you had Gunther and Sheamus start off at number 1. Brock came in at number 12. You had Bobby come in at number 13, to where Bobby eliminated Brock Lesnar. I thought it was very good that they had Gunther actually run the entire Royal Rumble, and he was the Iron Man. I mean, he was in there for over an hour and 11 minutes. He's now set the record for the traditional Royal Rumble match, so that's a big stat for him. And I know there's been a lot of things I've seen online where people have been saying, well, I don't think this would have happened if Vince was in control. I totally agree. I don't think Gunther would have lasted this. Hell, I don't even think he'd still be the Intercontinental Champion right now if Vince was in charge. So it's a very refreshing to see a Royal Rumble be taken seriously. Over the 2 Royal Rumbles, I think that this one was the better one of the 2. I've seen a lot of things online where people are claiming that the women's was great, and I'm not saying it was bad, But I think this one between the two was better, just from some of the spots. I mean, we talked about it earlier. The Ricochet Logan Paul spot where they did the giant springboard double clothesline double down spot. I mean, that's epic stuff that they'll probably show on highlight reels for the next 30 years. So what was your thoughts, though, on the Rumble?
Oh, it was great, Marcus. 51,338 in attendance, the Alamo Dome.
I'll just not to cut you off, but that's what they announced. I've heard it was less than that, but you know how WWE inflates numbers. Go on.
Yeah, that could be right, too. Shoot, I liked, how about McAfee returning to open
at
the
the
night?
beginning, yes.
That was fantastic. I liked Gunther a little bit going into this. After that, I could see him definitely in some kind of main event at WrestleMania. I like the fact that I think for the first time ever, we had a number 1 guy and a number 30 at the end, I believe.
I don't know if that's the first, but if it isn't, that's a second. It doesn't happen often.
And it was awesome. I mean, there's a couple deals that you mentioned with Logan Paul and Ricochet. That was fantastic there. And Bobby, your boy Bobby, he took out Brock fast, and that to me was a shocker. I don't know if you noticed when Drew and Sheamus, they were kind of keeping an eye on Brock when he was leaving, and they didn't know, I guess, if he's going to come back and raise havoc and hell for them as well. But yeah, it was good. It was a good Rumble, and I think Cody was probably, like we mentioned in our last podcast, probably more than likely the outcome, the winner. It still had you believing at times that Gunther could have absolutely pulled it off.
Yes, definitely. And you mentioned Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. There was a spot they did where they hit a Claymore right into a bro kick on Elias that was just so good. It was just so good. I mean, you had Rollins also eliminated Lashley. I mean, there was a lot of good spots. I mean, Rey Mysterio was supposed to be number 17, and then his music played, didn't come out. And then Dominic Mysterio was number 18. He comes out with Rey Mysterio's mask on, which I think is intriguing. I've seen reports since this morning, though, that I guess Rey Mysterio injured himself on an event over the weekend, I guess on Friday or Thursday or whenever he got injured, to where that's why he wasn't in the Royal Rumble. But I like how they threw this into the story and made it to where it seemed as if Dominic had beaten, or the Judgment Day, whoever, had beaten down Rey Mysterio. So I like that little bit, that touch right there. Booker T was also in the Rumble. He was number 21. Edge was number 24. Edge eliminated Priest and Balor. So I would believe that somehow they're going to continue the Judgment Day Edge saga. And what was one of the bigger things, not bigger things, but something that was kind of a shocker to me, was one that Logan Paul kind of dropped out there towards the end where you thought he was already eliminated. He came in and eliminated Seth Rollins. So is that the path they're going for WrestleMania? Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins? I don't know. I've heard rumors. I've heard a lot of rumors of what they might do. No different than the face-off with Gunther and Brock Lesnar. I've heard rumors about those two, and they faced off, did not touch. So I want to mention that they did not touch, didn't hit each other, nothing. So they've left that one on the hook for us to kind of keep reeling us in on that one. But I think overall, this was one of the better Rumble matches, like standout wise in years. Granted, there wasn't too many surprises or anything of that nature other than Logan Paul and Booker T. So I know you're going to have some people that are going to hate on it for that reason. Oh, there wasn't enough surprises, or where was the Hurricane, or where was this guy, or where was that guy? I get that argument. But when I looked at the roster of guys they had on here, there wasn't no underneath talent. Just about everybody that came out there, I don't want to say I would believe that they could win, but part of me wants to think that it was better done. They built to it better than they did the Women's Rumble, because there was a lot of women that came out during that one. Obviously, I didn't think they were going to win. But overall, like I said, for the Men's Rumble, I thought it was good, excellent. built well. I think it was put together a whole lot better than last year's, and it's been put together a whole lot better than it has in several years, in my opinion. But we'll go on to the next match from there. It was, like I said, it was good to see Cody win, but let's see what happens. But on to the next match. They had the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, my boy LA Knight and Bray. Well, I love the neon effects. Great bump through the table. And I liked it because it was short, sweet, in my opinion, done right. The win and the new look of Bray, I think, will help him continue his storyline, whether you like it or not. I'm not big on it per se. I liked the whole deal with the lantern and his tribe back in the day. But if you're a Fiend fan or some kind in the middle, you might like it. And this definitely didn't hurt LA Knight. What about you, Marcus?
I like Bray Wyatt. I know he's creative. And this is probably going to be my controversial moment of the podcast where people are going to start trolling. But I think this match was crap. Visually, it looked good. Bray looked good with the paint on. And visually, it was spectacular. The match itself, and I believe this was the part of the show where a lot of the fans, especially after the men's rumble at the first match, between this match and the match that happened after it, a lot of people seemed like they lost interest, and a lot of these matches were quieter and they seemed dead. And I don't know if that's because just the hangover of the Rumble match itself, or just because because the fans were into it when Bray was coming out. But it's his interest, kind of like the Warrior, you're going to pop for it. But for me, it didn't do it for me. There wasn't enough story progression, and then the fact that Uncle Howdy totally missed the elbow drop off the top of the structure or whatever it was that he jumped off of, that was kind of bad. And I don't want to hate on Bray Wyatt because I like him. I'm happy that he's back. But man, I expected a whole lot more, and they gave me a whole lot less. I mean, when the match only went 6 minutes, and granted, I get in, get out. I'm fine with that. But, and I know you said that LA Knight might be fine in this. I don't know, and I'm worried for him because I've seen how this has played out for other guys that have went against Bray Wyatt, and I don't know. Hopefully they'll get LA Knight away from Bray Wyatt and let him start doing his own thing and, further establish his character. Because if he's stuck in another month and a half or 2 month feud or whatever with Bray Wyatt, man, I don't want to say it's going to bury him, but you're not doing him any favors either. But we'll go on to the next match, and that was Alexa Bliss versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. And I'd like to apologize because we forgot to even review this on our last podcast, so we'll cover the match now. The crowd, like I said in the last match, was kind of dead. They weren't into this match at all. And I'm not sure, like I said, if it was because of the Bray match. Didn't go that long. This match went about 7.5 minutes. It almost seemed like Bianca got fed up and just hit her with a KOD to just take it home. I don't know. This match was not what I expected. And then they had the, Uncle Howdy video come up on the screen where it was the playground and showing different scenes of Alexa when she was with Bray Wyatt. And I don't know where this is going. I mean, he kept repeating in the video, "Do you think you're in control?" I don't know. I mean, especially when you have basically two spooky dookie segments back to back, that was kind of definitely a thumbs down for me. Both matches, the pitch black match, try to say that 3 times fast, but the pitch black match and this match here wasn't really that big of a fan. I didn't really. I mean, it was obvious Bianca was going to win anyway, in my opinion. So it was what it was. What's your thoughts, man?
Well, Marcus, you mentioned earlier in the last match about the crowd probably up and getting drinks or stuff, getting refreshments. I think the crowd was doing it in this match. I mean, I don't know who the fan base is outside of probably, well, I was going to say teenage boys, but probably all us men of liking Alexa. But to have this 100-pound cutie even have a chance against, I think, the strongest woman ever. And by the way, talking about cute, Bianca, nice outfit. I loved it. But I just thought it was an absolute joke to put Bianca in such a silly situation. Bianca should have the belt for a very long time. I liked the clean win from Bianca, and then Uncle Howdy, kind of like how I felt about Roman earlier. Screw you, mister. That's all I got on that one, brother.
All right, now we'll just go to the Women's Royal Rumble, and I'll go on this one first. Rhea started it with Liv Morgan, and I didn't really write down too many notes for this one. I mean, I wrote down more of the entry numbers, like Bayley came in at number 6. B-Fab, who was in there for a hot cup of coffee, was number 7. I would like seeing that Roxanne Perez was number 8 from NXT. She is the current NXT Women's Champion, so it was good. Kind of disappointed they didn't have her wearing the belt. I mean, I understand why, because she was about to be in a match, but if you're going to have a champion be in the match, I mean, Gunther was wearing his Intercontinental title when he came out, so why couldn't she? Small nitpick, but still it's a complaint in my opinion. And then they also had Zoe Starks from NXT. Becky Lynch was number 15. Asuka. Oh my God, it was good to see Asuka back with the new face paint. And I mean, I've watched some of her stuff early in Japan to where it looks like she's going to bring back her old Kana gimmick. So I'm looking forward to see how they incorporate that. Piper Niven returned. If some people might know her as Dewdrop, she returned, so that was kind of a cool thing to see. Chelsea Green came in at number 20, and she set the new women's record for the shortest elimination at 5 seconds. And then Bayley eliminated Becky. Then Liv Morgan eliminated Bayley. Raquel Rodriguez came in at number 22. She had a very good showing, I thought. And it kind of goes back to our last conversation we had just about how you feel she's the next one to, be showcased. And I think they're on that road. But Michelle McCool, I thought this was kind of funny. She was in the crowd the entire show to where they showed her a couple different times throughout the show, and they played her music. And she's still in the crowd to where she comes out at number 25 and just hops the rail and gets in there and starts kicking people's ass. So that was kind of cool. Indy Hartwell from NXT, she was number 26. We had Shotzi return at number 28. And then the big shocker, not really a shocker if you listen to any of the dirt sheets or any of the news reports, Nia Jax was number 30. I know Nia Jax is a very divisive topic, kind of like CM Punk, to where you either love her or you hate her. And I know that she's got the reputation of being dangerous, or sometimes her moves aren't exactly, what she does. She doesn't exactly take care of her competitors sometimes, or that's the way it appears. I like Nia Jax for her look alone. If she could get better in the ring, that would be a good thing, obviously. But I don't know if this is a one-off and this is just kind of a Rumble appearance and then she's done, or if she's actually back. That'll be interesting. But it took like 11 girls to eliminate her. In the end, it went down to Rhea and Liv Morgan in the final 2. I like the ending sequence. For me, this match as a whole, this is why I'm not that big on it, and I'm going to tell you right now, it was a lot of sloppy fighting during certain segments. There was a couple of botches during the Royal Rumble, or you could tell some women didn't know exactly where they should be or what they should be doing. But then again, I can say the same thing for the men's match. I guess I know Kofi botched a spot. So, I mean, there were botches throughout the night and these two matches and others. But for me, with the sloppiness and just the patty cake manner of how some of the girls were hitting each other out there, didn't like that. Like I said, it was kind of botchy at points. I don't think it was a bad Rumble. It was definitely better than last year's Women's Rumble. But at the end of the day, this is not in the same category as the men's. The men's was much better. Like I said, botchy, spotty at points where some of the times you couldn't tell what they were trying to go for. In the end, I know Damage Control, they took control of most of the match. And they did the majority of the eliminations in this match, but in the end, they all got eliminated. And Rhea Ripley, was the one that won the Rumble. Right choice. I don't think they could have picked anybody else to put in that slot, and I can't wait to see what she does at WrestleMania, or actually, for that matter, who she picks. Is she going to pick Charlotte, or is she going to pick Bianca? If it's me, I say she should pick Bianca, because two powerhouses that can work. Oh, yes, please. What's your thoughts?
Well, I agree with most of that, Marcus. You mentioned Michelle McCool. That was pretty cool. I think the only time somebody had entered that close to the ring was, I believe, her and Jerry Lawler.
Yes.
Maybe at the broadcast table. That was pretty neat. This has to do with the overall show. I enjoyed the three-man broadcast team. It seemed to come out more in this match, I thought. I liked the look of Zelina. It was some, I don't know, kitty cat thing or something.
It was from Street Fighter.
That's what it was. Thank you. Lacey, bad press on her from what she did to that poor disabled fan. Major heat from SmackDown. But I thought if they can get through that, weather the storm, I thought Lacey looked impressive. That was the first time I'd seen Zoe Stark. She came in at 13. I thought she was impressive. And how about, talking about impressive, everything Damage Control did. The three ladies eliminated 4 or 5 people different times, some big names. Shayna, Dana Brooke, a couple others. Talked about Nia there. Nia gets the return. Me and my girlfriend was hoping it was no chance in hell, but shoot. Marcus, who's tag partner with Sasha?
Oh, Naomi, yeah.
Yeah, Naomi. I was hoping that was the big surprise, but it wasn't. It was Nia. Like you said, everybody had to jump on her. I liked her a little bit before this return, and she's running her mouth, very obvious in it, but a big heat spot, but also probably a lot of truth she was saying, but then they all teamed up on her. Rhea going in this, I already knew she was totally awesome, but I really liked her at the post-conference. Just she's there. I mean, she was already there. She's definitely WrestleMania, probably going to win it all at WrestleMania. And yeah, and like you mentioned, the finish was good with the mist and Rhea hanging on, kind of Bret Hart-esque, or Shawn, more Shawn on that. Just did it absolutely amazing with the live toss out at the end. Or yeah, very good. Very good, women. You outdid the men again this year.
I'm just, like I said, I'm just intrigued to where we go from here. For a lot of the characters, because, I mean, Liv, she almost was an Iron Woman, too. I mean, she was number 2 in this match, and she lasted all the way to the end. So that was, I know they've done that with Bulldog and Shawn Michaels, but I don't think they've ever done that with the women yet, where you had the people that came in at number 1 and number 2 be the ones there at the end. Like I said, they've done that in 95 with Michaels and Bulldog. But I mean, my memory's not the greatest, but I don't think they've ever done that with the women. So that was something interesting there. That, and to have it to where Rhea ends up running the table and being the Iron Woman and winning the match. I mean, like I said, I think that was the right idea. And I'm with you. I watched the press conference as well. I've been saying this for a while. She looks like a star, and she is. And I am happy that they have finally, are going to give Rhea the chance that she desperately deserves, because I know Finn's supposed to be the de facto leader of Judgment Day, but to me, it seems like Rhea's the leader. And most men, I think, will agree with me that she's the leader. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with her at WrestleMania, because even in the match with Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss, the fans, I think they're starting to leave Bianca. That is my personal opinion. And it's not because of her. I think it's because of the booking and some of the people they've put her in there with, or the 2.5 months or whatever it was she spent feuding with Bayley in matches where she just ended up beating Bayley. Like, I think she's almost at that, I don't want to say Cena point, or that Roman Reigns when he was a babyface point where they're going to actively boo her. But I think people are starting to get off the bus, and they're starting to get off the bandwagon. And I think Rhea has to be the one that takes it off of her. Because if Bianca does make it to WrestleMania, she would have been the champion for a year, kind of going back to how Macho Man did it. To where I think she may have to lose at WrestleMania to Rhea just because Rhea deserves this, and she's worked hard for it. And her concussion issue that she had last year to where she was off television for a while, and for her to come back. And I was unsure of the Judgment Day when they first joined, when Edge was running it. And since they've got him out and Dominic's came in and Dominic going to prison and all that, I think it's a great dynamic for all people involved because Damian looks like a star. Finn's always been a star. Rhea's looking like a star. And Dominic's that weasel that we all love to hate. So I love that whole dynamic, and how we get there is just a big part of it. Now we'll go into the actual match, since we already talked about the aftermath from this match. We'll go into the match of Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, or however they say it. I'll let you start first on this one.
Yeah, I thought it was a damn good match. Many times it could have went either way. And like you mentioned earlier with Sammy, what does he end up doing? And it was pretty obvious call with that ending of you got to help your friend of over 20 years. Just went back and forth. Also with the ending, with Jay walking out as well. How long will he side with Sammy now? And I don't know. Roman another win. I don't even know if Roman will lose at WrestleMania. What about you, Marcus?
I think the match overall was good. I mean, a lot of people I've seen are complaining online that this shouldn't have main evented the show. And I get that argument from the aspect of the Rumble should be the main event. But with the story they told at the end of this match, I'm sorry, nothing could have followed that. I don't care who it was, Cody winning, Rhea winning. I don't care. Nothing could have followed that. So the people that are online complaining, oh, the Rumble should have been the main event. I get your argument, but you're wrong. Nothing could have, as a person that's wrestled and been a part of decent angles to where it's like nothing could follow this. Nothing could follow this. Nothing could follow this. The match itself was good, though. I mean, I spoke earlier of things that were botched. Owens botched his little double jump moonsault. He covered it well and all that, but it was a botch. It took 3 spears. Well, 4, I guess, if you include the one through the barricade. The Usos and them weren't even at ringside. It was just Sami and Paul Heyman. And I thought it was interesting throughout the match. They kept cutting to Sami Zayn and showing his reactions to certain moves. And a lot of the stuff he was up for, he was happy that Roman was, winning or was in the position to win. But when it started getting rough towards the end, and like we talked about before we started recording, that spot on the stairs where he just slung Owens back into the sharp point of the steps. I'm sorry. I don't care if Owens put his hands up or not. As a person that lives every day of his life with back problems, that made my back twinge a little bit with pain. I know that. And just to see, once it got to that point for Sammy where it was starting to get too much, you could see him going from being happy for Roman, and he changed that to being concerned for Kevin Owens. I mean, there was that one point in the match where Kevin was on the floor and Sammy walks up to him and he's like, dude, just stay down. Just stay down. Like, because he knows what the lengths that Roman will probably go to keep him down, to where he's trying to basically give him the nudge, the Iggy, like, hey, dude, he's going to try to murder you. Just stay down and let it be over. And, KO being that stubborn babyface, fight from underneath, that fighter that he is, he refused to. Like I said, that step spot was brutal. And then they got him back in the ring. Kevin Owens had that one last little bit of defiance in him where he smacked Roman. Roman kind of bounced off the ropes, hit him with that final spear, and it was 1, 2, 3, and it was over. I think it was a solid match for what they did, but I think the match could have been better, but they knew the angle that they were going to do after this was going to overshadow anything they did in the match. So I get why this match wasn't a barn burning, going through a bunch of tables. And no, I understand why they did it the way they did it. So there's no complaint from me. I think this was one of the better championship main events for the Royal Rumble because they really haven't had too many. Usually the Rumble's main event the show. So when you look through the history of main events that have main evented a Royal Rumble that weren't the Rumble and were a title match, this is definitely up there. And I'm not just saying that because of the angle that was done afterward. The match itself was good. I was invested, but it was just one of those for me that at the end of the day, we all knew Kevin wasn't going to win. And like we talked about on the last podcast, it was just a matter of how he was going to lose. And after seeing how it all went down and the beat down on KO and then Sammy trying to stand up for KO and him getting beat down. And like I said, I want to know where this goes for Jay. Because you think about how all this started when Roman first came back after the pandemic. Well, the pandemic was still going on, but he took time off that year of WrestleMania when the pandemic first started. And I'm thinking right now, you look at the whole storyline, the whole arc of this from the beginning to this point now, Jay's always been the defiant one. Jimmy was always the one that went along. Jay's always been the one. They had those 2 matches when Roman first won the title. And they kept warring back and forth over, him not wanting to listen. Jimmy came back from his knee injury, and he instantly fell in line. Solo has fell in line. Jay's always been that anomaly that he's with you, but he's also a hothead. And a lot of people, I don't think, have picked up on when Jay slid out of the ring last night, the look he gave Roman. Now, this might be me projecting what I want him to feel, but it looked like he was looking at Roman like, this is all your fault. You made this happen. Even though he was just beating down Kevin Owens a few minutes before that, I think he feels like you drove Sammy to this point and you made him make a choice that he was backed into a corner on, and this is what he did, and now you expect me to go along with this when I just got on board with this guy. It's an interesting dynamic. What do you think about where this might go from here with Jay?
Yeah, that's what I got out of it. Was that ending? Like what are they going to do now? Is it Jay and Sammy? I know I like Jay probably better than all of them because of the last couple weeks, and so. But Sammy. I thought he got the loudest pop of the night. Second to Beth Phoenix.
Oh,
jumping Rhea there, but Jay, I don't know. Maybe they'll strap the spark to him and maybe be in that main event deal as well on as a baby face.
That's where I'm at with it. I don't know if that's how they're going to do it, or are they still going to do...
But we got tag belts still.
That's what I was saying. They've still got to do that. So, are they going to still do KO and Sammy versus the Usos for the tag titles at Mania? My thing is, where does this go for Sammy now? Are we not going to see him for a couple weeks to sell the beatdown? And then when he does come back, where do we go from here? Because we got Montreal coming up soon for the Elimination Chamber. And...
Good point.
The way they've done this is Daniel Bryan-esque, to where the fans are going to want to see Sammy versus Roman at WrestleMania. I want to see it now after how this played out, because this whole time I didn't buy it. And when I say I didn't buy it, I didn't buy Sammy being that guy at Mania wrestling Roman, because I didn't think he was there. I know he was popular, but last night opened my eyes to, you got to go with him. And if you don't, you're missing the boat. Or if you do it at Elimination Chamber or on a random episode of SmackDown, you're leaving a whole lot of money on the table. I think what they should do, and we've already talked about this before, excuse me, I think they should have it to where Sammy's gone for a couple weeks. Have it where KO's gone until Montreal. Have it to where maybe Sammy is going to come back and he's got the vendetta, but he's got to fight through the bloodline, or maybe they put him in the Elimination Chamber match. Now, I don't know if they're just going to do one for the women or one for the men, or if they're going to do one for both. This is the way they could split up the titles from Roman. I mean, maybe, Adam Pearce and all of them are kind of disgusted with what he did to Sami and how over the top they went with KO, to where this is a way of, all right, Cody gets to have a shot at this title, and whoever wins the Elimination Chamber match in Montreal gets a shot at this title. Now, whether that's Universal or WWE or however they split them up, that's on them. But if they don't do this match with Sami and Roman at Mania, I don't think there'll be a backlash or anything, because the times have changed and the fans aren't hijacking the show like they used to. But for me, they've got to give Sami, they've got to throw him a bone here. They've got to do him a solid. And just for his hard work this entire time with this bloodline angle, because at the beginning, it seemed like it was going to go nowhere and he was going to get beat out quick, because before, Triple H took over, Sami was never even on camera with Roman. So it never progressed any farther than that until Triple H took over. And right now we're at this point where Sami is probably I don't care that Cody came back. Sami's probably the biggest babyface in the company right now. And if you don't strike while the iron's hot, they're missing the boat. And
Absolutely.
they have to make that at WrestleMania, in my opinion. Now, how they get there, now that you've made Cody the guy and he's won the Rumble, and then at the same time, you don't want to have it where there's two matches, and say if they do my idea where Sami wrestles in the chamber. What do you do when, say, you have Cody Rhodes go against Roman first on night one, and he beats Roman? That kind of takes the luster off Sami beating Roman, or even vice versa. Even if Sami's night one and he beats Roman, and then Cody goes on night two and beats Roman, or you have Sami night one and he loses to Roman. Like, I don't know how they're going to play this out. Granted, they could just do what we've heard for the last couple months, and it's going to be Sami and KO and Mania versus the Usos for the tag titles, which it makes sense for how Jimmy jumped on him. But with Sami being the main guy, the top face right now, and the heat that Roman has right now, just from that moment, Sami's the guy. I mean, I know Cody won the Rumble, but Sami's the guy right now. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. But I don't know, man. I think I want to talk about other things from this show, but I think we've talked enough about it. But I will say I'm kind of taken back that there wasn't as many surprises on the men's side. There could have been more. I mean, it was good to see Booker T and all. He kind of looked bow-legged, though. Hate to say that about him because he's one of my favorites, but he looked his age.
Yeah.
And granted, he wasn't in there that long, but there were certain things of this show I thought were spectacular. The middle part dragged. Overall, it's one of the better Royal Rumble pay-per-view premium live events we've had in years. So that's a positive. I look forward to seeing what happens in Elimination Chamber, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I'm looking forward to see if Kofi will be back on TV after that terrible chair spot. Yeah. Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking there, especially when you're doing a chair that has wheels on it. What do you think is going to happen? The chair's not going to fall over?
And McAfee about fell in the beginning, too, jumping up on them rolling chairs. But
yes, he did. There was some good stuff on the show. I'm not trying to be people that listen to this. I'm not trying to hate on it. There were things I did not like. The pitch black match, I'm sorry. I'm a Bray Wyatt fan. Visually, I can't say that enough. Looks spectacular. But we had talked about this on the last podcast. They were talking about neon lights and all that. It looked like I felt like I was back in my 20s at a rave. I mean, that's what I felt like personally. So, I mean, it had its cool elements, but and then Bianca and Alexa were not at all good. The Rumble matches were good. Main event was good. So, I mean, if I'm weighing this out, I'm definitely giving it at least a good 4.5 stars overall, because it was bookended by a good men's Rumble, and it ended with one of the greatest angles, storylines that they've done in the history of the company, in my opinion. That's how I feel about the Rumble. It wasn't bad at all. And I mean, if anybody gets a chance to watch it back, please do. You got anything else, man?
No, that's all. That's all for me, my brother.
All right. Well, I'd like to ask all you people out there watching this to please subscribe to this channel, like the video, also share. We try to do these videos as much as we can. But I'd like to thank you for watching. And this has been another episode of the Mark and the Fan Wrestling Podcast. See you when we see you.
Thanks, everyone.
This has been the Mark and the Fan Podcast with your hosts, Mark Magnum and the Cisco Kid. Find us on YouTube and Facebook. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.